So let me ask you, what's your favorite moment of the show this year?
Every moment I was on it.
Nobody ever tell you you're a fucking mark for yourself?
Bullshit! Everyone is a mark for me. It's the only reason they listen to the fucking show.
Oh, Mom.
It's time for another wrestling podcast.
All right. Welcome to another wrestling podcast. It's the end of 2017, and I'm Credo.
I'm Minority Mike.
And I am the social assassin. At your disposal, bitches.
Guys, it's been quite a year. Quite a year in wrestling. Quite a year of another wrestling podcast. Guys, we've done a lot. Our own streak ended this year. A lot of things in the world of wrestling happened. What way to end the year than, get into all the best things that, maybe not the best things, maybe some of the worst things, but just maybe we can go through a list of things, if you will, and see what our thoughts were on what happened in the world of wrestling in 2017. But guys, how's your 2017? Is it coming to closure in the world of wrestling for you?
I'm just thanking God that the Christmas season is over, because I've been working non-stop. Thank the fuck Christ it is over. People stop shopping on Amazon, bitches.
2017 is over, and I'm thankful for it, because 2017 kicked my ass. It was great being a wrestling fan in 2017. There was a lot of ups and plenty of downs, but not as many as the ups, because wrestling is great. So I'm pretty interested to see what 2018 will bring us.
Definitely, and speaking of 2017, we ended the streak, for 3 years. We had a guest on every single week, with a show going on every single week. And you know what, kids? It's a pain in the ass. We've proved ourselves. We've had the names on the show, but after a while, it's just like, what more could we do? So we took a break. The streak ended for the show. Took the summer off. Came back, and then we actually just took the past few weeks off too. And we're coming back with the year ender. So it's there's a lot of shit going on. There's a lot of things going on. A lot of things in motion. So it's good to take a few weeks off, get a breather, come back refreshed. But things happen. But still, AWP going into its fourth year, 2018. A lot of things are going to happen. We're actually probably going to be up for another few awards, maybe on the Pro Wrestling Awards, the Wrestling Radio Awards. So that'll be happening in January. But, guys, what else to say then? 2017's on its way out, so let's just talk.
The second streak has ended as well, Credo.
What's the second streak?
The second streak is this is the first time that I have done this show intoxicated.
Intoxicated. Well, hey, that's what we do. That's what we do.
Sometimes you got to do life intoxicated.
That's right.
The way you can get through.
Well, before we get into 2018, guys, let's run down some of the things that happened this year. Let's get into this discussion, because I know everybody else out there wants to hear it. So let's start it up, shall we?
Hey everybody, this is Felicia Rose here with my friends at Another Wrestling Podcast. Shout out to Creepy Credo, Mike Colin, Angry Cooter. His name speaks for itself, so I don't even have to make a joke out of that. You guys are my first podcast, and shout out for another good year. Follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Felicia Rose, and check out my podcast on YouTube at Felicia Rose Raw. I'm working on a new project coming up, and it's going to be a lot better and a lot less low budget, so definitely follow me on stuff to keep yourselves updated. First off, we have Return of the Year, which I believe is Mike and Maria, but I don't think anybody gives a shit what I have to say about that.
All right, the Return of the Year, guys. A lot of people have taken time off, whether they were injured, whether they weren't on WWE TV. People came back. People came back to the land of money and opportunity. Guys, who, in your opinion, had the Return of the Year? For me, I think at the top would go to the Hardys. Granted, everybody wanted to see them coming in broken, And even though we had to wait for a little bit of a lawsuit to end, we're kind of getting that now towards the end of the year. But, that was definitely unexpected at WrestleMania early this year. But a lot of other people returned. Guys, who is on your mind? Right up there for me, I would have to say the Hardy Boys.
Oh, geez, let me just take right over, Credo. My God. A name that nobody really remembers when you talk about Return of the Year. I'm throwing this name in the hat. I got to go Mickie James because she had that awesome match with Asuka at a TakeOver event. Made her way back to the main roster, had some title shots, and has had probably, arguably, some of the best matches from the women's division this year. In my opinion, of course.
I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre. He went on the indie scene and just reinvented himself and got himself back in the door of the WWE. And pretty much, I was never really much of a fan until I watched him evolve and then watched him grow as a character and as a performer. Came back to NXT, won an NXT title. The guy was incredible. I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre. I'm also going to go with Randy Orton's hair.
Oh, Jesus.
The Orton hair.
Yeah, I mean, he's been bald for how long, and all of a sudden he has hair. Word of advice, if you're going to do high and tight, you really can't do a high and tight haircut with long hair. It just doesn't look right. It's a bad edge up.
Those are definitely some, good returns, guys. I forgot about Mickie James. Mickie James, man, I remember, was it last year or so, she had a baby, and then 2 weeks later, she was wrestling for Northeast Wrestling, and I was like, 2 weeks she was back in the ring. She's one of those girls that just hasn't lost it, so she definitely can keep up with the crowd today, and I think they definitely need her. And man, Drew McIntyre, talk about 3MB had quite a year, from Ginger being champ to Drew returning. Wow, some of the returns. Who else did we forget? Who else returned though this year?
Oh God, we had Shelton Benjamin. Who the fuck else was there? Help me out here, Mike. That was a big one for me though, Shelton. I love Shelton Benjamin, for Christ's sake.
I mean, if you want to count Paige, I mean, she came back and it wasn't on Vivid or YouPorn. It was actually in the squared circle.
Yeah, Paige didn't get Return of the Year. She got Cum Shot of the Year.
Oh, man.
Much as we don't have that category, we can just throw it in there. And Cum Shot of the Year goes to Paige.
I was surprised by Paige's return this year because she was out quite a while. The whole thing with Alberto Del Rio, who knows what they were doing. And honestly, you know what? I think the only thing that saved her career was The Rock doing a movie on her family, and I think WWE needed to throw her back in the spotlight to make her a name again, so that maybe, it's kind of like helping out The Rock so that his movie will do good. I don't even know when that comes out, actually. It's got to come out in 2018, but I'm feeling that her push or her return, I think the only reason she returned with that kind of a push was because of that movie. Who really knows? But she got
I got
a
dumb question for you, though. Yeah. Dumb question for you. Do you think that they waited as long as they did because of the severity of her injury, or do you think until they waited a few months for the whole, sex tape, cum shots things to blow over? Even more were released too recently, so it's like, yeah, those were
damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's one of those things. Yeah, I think they're overlooking that. She's getting some special treatment, I think, a lot because of this movie, and because I'll tell you what, if she did not return, I don't know. I honestly don't know when The Rock's movie is coming out. We'll have to look that up. But it's like if she isn't in the spotlight, it's like, what good is this to the audience or the wrestling audience if the young kids have no idea who she is anymore? Why are we going to go see it or whatnot? But she gave me so much joy this year because if anything, the memes that came out after all that material was released, there were just some great ones. I was dying for days. People were just sending me fucking meme after meme. My favorite had to be the one where it was, oh God, all the girls who had won that title after Paige and were kissing it. That's it. Well, guys, what about Shelton Benjamin? He was supposed to return a while ago, and then he had the injury, and then he was pushed for almost 6 months or so. Then he finally returns, and now, he's part of American Alpha 2.0, whatever you want to call it. That was kind of a weird move to break up American Alpha and just to join him with Shelton Benjamin, even though I think Shelton and, that team is probably a lot better than having fucking Jason Jordan on it. But I don't know. How is Shelton Benjamin doing? Is that kind of like just filling the spots or what?
I think it's great for somebody like Chad Gable because he's younger. I think Shelton compliments him very well, but I also think that he's not going to overshadow like a newer star who can definitely benefit from a rub from Shelton Benjamin.
I don't know how long this is going to last, American Alpha 2.0. I mean, you can put the tag titles on them. You can take the tag titles off of them. You can play a breakup. I just don't know how long it's going to last with those two. I mean, I love Chad Gable. I think the guy, that match on July 4th he had with AJ Styles pretty much put it out there that this guy can go as a singles competitor. I mean, he had a great match with AJ Styles on July 4th. So, and I'm not saying Shelton's holding him back. It's kind of like Cooter said, he's complimenting him for the time being. It's kind of keeping the seat warm until the new year comes, and I'm hoping that they kind of break away and go their separate ways. And no more tag teams for Chad Gable. Let's see this guy go after the U.S. strap and be like the next Shawn Michaels, because I think he has that charisma to do so, and the in-ring ability is incredible. His rolling suplexes are just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll fuck it up. They'll probably like tag him up with Mojo Rawley or some shit.
God. You know what? And you're not even wrong about that.
I know. I'm fucking awesome.
I'm telling you that the way booking is in 2017, or some of the booking, but a lot of the booking in WWE, I feel like they have the Make-A-Wish kids doing the booking.
Oof.
Well, one thing we overlooked too was the return of Kurt Angle. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame this year. Then he became the Raw general manager. And he even had a match on a pay-per-view where Meningitis kind of made its own return, or I don't know, debut, I guess. But is that? Did they misuse a return of Kurt Angle, even though he was being used part of the Shield? And I don't know. Is it good to see Kurt Angle back though, working finally with WWE?
It's great to see him back working with them. I don't know how much I want to really see him in the ring, because I think that showing that he had with the Shield was okay. I think him in the Survivor Series match was the drizzling shits. Kurt Angle was wearing a T-shirt that was 2 sizes too big for him to cover up that pudgy-ass gut of his. Motherfucker, get on the treadmill already. If you're gonna be in the match, get in ring shape, drop some pounds, bruh.
I don't know, that was some returns, though. Some returns of 2017. I'm sure there was other little ones here and there, but that's the gist of it.
Next up, we have pay-per-view of the year, which was obviously NXT TakeOver War Games, but I don't think anybody could disagree because of that cuddle puddle at the end with the dudes. That was super hot, so that's my vote. I don't even think that's making it into the final, but whatever, that's my vote.
Now, everybody's always going to talk about WrestleMania or SummerSlam. NXT had a shitload of awesome pay-per-views this year. Hell, even if you aren't a WWE fan, New Japan had some great pay-per-views this year from Wrestle Kingdom and so on and so forth. But guys, what stood out to you when you say pay-per-view of the year? What's the one thing that you just go back to 2017 and was like, wow, damn, that was a good pay-per-view?
From our standpoint, I got to say this. We spent weeks making fun of the name of this pay-per-view that we thought they named after a fucking venereal disease. And lo and behold, it was probably the best pay-per-view of the year. Credo, what was the name of said pay-per-view?
Was this Great Balls of Fire?
That is correct. It was Great Balls of Fire, motherfucker. And Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar. Amazing match. Joe unfortunately did the job, but they made it believable where you thought, damn, Joe might actually pull this off. Where in so many matches that Brock Lesnar has, you don't think these motherfuckers have a chance. And he gives them nothing.
WrestleMania is always going to be WrestleMania. But I really enjoyed SummerSlam, and then even the kind of last-minute change that we had to the Survivor Series main event with AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar. What did you think about that? Because, Jinder Mahal was the champion for 6 months or so. And he literally he lost the championship a few weeks before then. They changed the main event for Survivor Series, Brock versus AJ. It was definitely more of a main event card, if you will, to add on that kind of a pay-per-view. But I would say, Survivor Series, SummerSlam, WrestleMania, they, as long as they are, they definitely stepped up a little bit more this year. Granted, it's still fucking too long, man. That's a lot of fucking hours to watch a show, including pre-show to the very end. But I guess, everybody's got to get on TV or everybody's got to have a match. But did you
Damn, you really called SummerSlam your favorite of the year?
Well, Natalya won the women's championship. I really wanted her to deserve that. I'm not saying
you forget all the stinkers that were on that card, though, Credo?
It's so long that sometimes some of the best things overshine the stinkers. I'm not saying it was the best of the year. I'm just saying they definitely stepped up. They definitely stepped up, and I enjoyed SummerSlam to where. Yes, there were some, there were some stinkers, but it didn't bother me that much.
Enzo and Nakamura and Jinder Mahal, which was a fucking shit show and a half. I was like, damn, bro. I mean, these are some badass matches. I mean, there were some good ones.
Well, that Big Cass and Big Show match was holy shit. That was just a waste of time.
No, that was Big Show. Oh, Big Show versus Big Cass. Why did I think?
And with Enzo was in the shark cage.
In the shark cage, that's right.
Yeah,
got to sell those shark cages for the figures. Well, who do you thought though? Who do you thought had the best showing this year? NXT or WWE? I mean, if we're just going to categorize those two at least, it's the farm system versus the main roster. I mean.
Oh. It's kind of unfair to really compare them because, I mean, NXT does what, 4, maybe 5 pay-per-views a year?
Yeah.
And we're getting 2 from the brands every month almost. I don't know how many fucking pay-per-views we're up to, but you figure you got the big 4, and I think every other month there's 2, 1 for each brand, so it's holy shit. It's a lot of fucking pay-per-views, man.
A lot of time. Well,
that's the advantage. That's the advantage for WWE. They should be putting on better shows because they have more shows to put out there. I mean, if you're going to pick and choose between NXT and WWE, if you're going to give me a choice, it's going to be NXT because
absolutely.
It's the stories that they're giving me. Like you go to the main roster and they're telling me fairy tales, and you have Nakamura, spitting nursery rhymes. But if you go down to NXT and their booking is completely different, it's more believable wrestling compared to sports entertainment up on the main roster. So when you look at 2017 and you look at the events, NXT takeovers are pretty much. I'm more excited about NXT takeovers than I am waiting on a Sunday night for a WB pay-per-view, a brand pay-per-view to happen. It's just what it's come down to.
And they've never actually put on a bad show, Mike. I think you'd agree with me on that. I've never been disappointed in a card. I mean, every once in a while they throw a match out there that's a stinker. Like, oh my God, what's his face? Lars Sullivan versus Cassius Ohno.
That was bad.
But the return of Cassius Ohno, I forgot about that one. No.
Oh my God, how did you forget about him?
Cassius Ohno and his gut. But when you go back to that, I mean, NXT has put out matches or put out cards that on paper it doesn't look like it's going to be that good. And then when you sit down and watch the event, you're just so captivated by it because, like I said, I'm a firm believer in storytelling will win me over any day in matches, and they just tell amazing stories on the NXT brand. So, like I said before, I'll say it again: if you had to choose the brand of the year when it came between sports entertainment versus pure wrestling, I'm going with NXT.
I thought you were going to say 205 Live. I was going to throw a hot cup of coffee in your face, bro. I really thought you were going to say that. I was going to throw hot cup of coffee in your face.
They have storytelling on 205 Live. It's just a different type of storytelling that I could care less about.
Absolutely. Let's talk about what's her face, who she's banging this week. Poor Noam Dar.
Alicia Fox.
That was so over. How the fuck did they fuck that up?
I don't know. I could picture Vince McMahon in the back. Every time Noam Dar said Alicia Fox, he just busted out laughing. And I mean, Vince McMahon will look at a guy like Noam Dar who's 5'6", and he just hates him just because he's small. But then he gets over this Alicia Fox name, and I think that's what kept his job.
Once again, if you guys are listening out there, anotherwrestlingpodcast.com. Tweet us at @WrestlingPod, Facebook, Another Wrestling Podcast. Let us know what your favorites were from 2017.
Next up, we have catchphrase of the year, which is obviously face fuck me Finn, which is an ongoing catchphrase of the year, and that's gonna win every year. So I don't even know why that's even like a contest in this thing.
Catchphrase of the year, right there. There's one. Alicia Fox. What else was? What are some catchphrases this year? How about Rusev Day? Rusev Day was kind of getting big. I'm trying to think what else. What was created this year? Man, it's hard to think and put you on the spot. But
how did you? The fact that you don't know what was created this year, you know what?
There's so much stuff that happens in a year.
You just made the list, all right?
Oh, the list.
Or no, was that 2016?
2016,
That was 2016. I apologize.
All these days blend together. Because
fuck it, you made the list anyway, asshole.
Yep.
Yep.
That catchphrase right there went over pretty big.
There's a lot, yeah.
Couple weeks.
Oh, man.
I mean, I think I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, and anybody listening can tweet at me and correct me if I'm wrong. But when Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn created that Yup T-shirt and they put it out on the shop, it was probably one of the highest selling shirts for the week.
Yep. I said yep. There's a lot. I mean, it's so funny to think.
Does Gabagulak count?
Gabagulak.
Oh, PowerPoint
presentation.
I gotta forget about that. I saw a T-shirt. It wasn't made by WWE, which they're dropping the ball on it. Pro Wrestling Tees put out a shirt that just said PowerPoint. And I'll tell you something. I would buy that shirt. I would, because I love Drew Gulak.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of catchphrases. Maybe we'll come out throughout the whole show and find another catchphrase that made it this year.
Feud story of the year, which I believe is Braun and anybody that had a feud this year, because all that shit was great.
Yes, there are great feuds. Yes, there are great stories. Let's kind of throw them into one category. A lot of things happened. But, going throughout the year, and one of the things that stood out for me the most this year was, honestly, is Enzo Amore and the Cruiserweights. When Big Cass got injured, Enzo was shifted to the Cruiserweights, and it was like, oh, crap, there goes 205. Like, what are they doing to 205 Live? And I'll tell you what, man, he was one of the reasons why I started watching 205 Live, because I was kind of curious what they were going to do with him. And, they had quite the year from having fucking, what's his name? Mighty Mouse over there.
Neville.
Neville being the king of the Cruiserweights to having awesome matches with Austin Aries. That just falling apart to the Cruiserweight division being held up by Enzo Amore. And I wish I could say I was joking, but I mean, he's kind of been a little bit of an anchor for that show. Maybe it's not the greatest decision in the world, but I'll tell you what, man, he's had his spotlight this whole year in that Cruiserweight division, just winning he's a 2-time Cruiserweight champion. Wow. I don't know. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, they've had so many big stories on Raw just because of Enzo Amore being in the Cruiserweight division. It's sad. It's sad that they have no other Cruiserweights that they can build around on there. But, poor Neville, who knows where he is right now. But, guys, a feud or a story of the year, I would definitely have to kind of throw to Enzo Amore and the Cruiserweights. Please, what did you guys think was a feud or a storyline of the year?
Holy shit. The fact that you did not pick Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho starting their feud after the Festival of Friendship, which was by far probably the funniest shit I think I've seen this entire fucking year. That was just great television. And it actually had a few decent matches with the feud, but I think the build-up to it, starting with the Festival and Friendship, was just fucking fantastic. I couldn't get enough.
Nice.
So if you want to talk about pure wrestling feuds, I'm going to go with Kenny Omega and Okada.
Of course you are. Oh,
yeah, of course I am, because they put on 3 amazing matches. Like 3 matches, I mean, that were just like an hour plus, all of them, or majority of them are. And it just kept you staring at the TV. Like, not 1 second did I pick up my phone. That was a great feud and a great story they had going. And then if you want to talk about something else in the WWE world, you got Roman versus Strowman. I mean, as much as people shit on Roman, that feud between him and Strowman was actually pretty good. I mean, those guys went at each other hard. When Strowman threw the chair at Roman, I forgot which event that was. I mean, he made that desk chair look so light, nothing, and he just launched it at Roman, and it looked. And then, granted, the chair is padded, yes, but it just that spot looked just so cool.
I don't understand why. I'm about to get some serious hate right now because I don't know why people are on Okada's dick. I don't understand it. I don't see it. I don't get it. Like,
I don't mean to cut you off. I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm gonna. People might shit on me for saying this too, and I know where you're gonna go. But the only reason why I threw out Okada and Omega
was because the feud was great and the matches were okay. Like that first match, I hated, and you know why I hated it. Because when you're kicking out at 60 fucking finishers, I'm like, enough is enough. It was a hard fought fucking match, brilliant, but it was just too much with the finishers for me. The second one to a draw was great, and when Kenny finally got that win, and the third match, honestly for me was the best one in my opinion. I mean, people will always say how could you not go with the draw or get the fuck out of here. Everybody has a different opinion on what they like and why they like it, and I think that one with Kenny getting the win was the best. But I really hate Okada. I really do.
Feud of the year: Angry Cooter and Okada. I think that's gotta be on the list.
You can't see me. Fuck you, Okada. I think you're trash.
I'll tell you what. Kenny Omega definitely put himself on the map this year. I think when AJ and Finn kind of left New Japan and the Bullet Club and all that stuff, it was like. The Bullet Club keeps losing members. Who's the next, not leader of the Bullet Club, but, who's the next big star out there? And I honestly didn't think Kenny Omega would have been that rising star to shine out there this year. And now, look at going into 2018, his match with Chris Jericho, which will happen in a few weeks from now. The man definitely made a name for himself in 2017, and definitely got to keep him up there as having won a good story of the year. Who knows what we'll see where he lands in 2018, though. A lot of other stories happen. I thought Strowman definitely had a lot of good stuff this year, and I could see him getting pushed to the moon in 2018. Some honorable mentions. We had John Cena and his beau, Nikki Bella, and The Miz versus Maurice. Couple versus couple was kind of a little different this year. The Miz had an awesome year, too. With his Miztourage and whatnot, but a lot of different stories happening out of that. Even though he's gone right now, shooting movies and all that stuff. But a lot of different feuds, a lot of different stories to really focus on. But it's just some of ours, if you will.
Next up, we have Surprise of the Year. I don't even know what's listed in this category, but I would say an ambulance being used, and then also the ring breaking. Those were my two favorite surprises of the year. But that's just because I obviously want Braun Strowman to fist me or whatever. Whatever.
Surprise of the year. What was so surprising this year to you that it was just totally, that just made our list of 2017 biggest surprise of the year? The biggest thing I'll throw out there, I think, would have to be the Undertaker, quote-unquote, retiring. He's never said he retired. He didn't say that, he's retiring, but the man left it all in the ring with a horrible match with Roman Reigns, and he walked away. Will we see him again? I don't know, but that kind of got everybody talking. That was the maybe the end of the dead man, if you will. Was there any other, surprises on your list?
Meningitis. Meningitis was the surprise for me because it turned a card that was shit into a card that was actually, worth watching. I mean, you got AJ versus Finn Balor on the card. I mean, and you got rid of Roman for a month. They were just about to do them. Probably one of the most, which probably would have been on our list as probably one of the worst matches ever with Balor versus Sister Abigail.
Abigail, the demon versus Sister Abigail. My God.
And then Meningitis came in and said, nah.
Nah. I'm over here now.
We're saving this event. We're not going to put the true fans through this crap. That took out freaking everybody that we needed to be taken out. They're all healthy now. They got a speedy recovery. But the fact that Meningitis came in, that was a surprise for me.
And I can't even recall the last time something like that affected a card or a pay-per-view or just, something that major with a lot of superstars all at once. So that was definitely a good surprise.
The only one that I can think of was I think it was supposed to be The Undertaker versus the Great Khali in the Punjabi prison match. And somebody got sick somehow, and it spread in the locker room.
Taker got sick, and it ended up being Big Show.
Big Show, yeah. I think somebody else got sick, and I'll never forget. And for some reason, I want to say Fit Finlay and Regal ended up on that card. And it was like one of those beating the shit out of each other type matches. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure it might have been that particular pay-per-view. And they just beat the shit out of each other. Old school wrestling match, and the fans were just not having it. And I was just like, this is fucking amazing. But, it was a different day. What can I tell you? For me, surprise of the year had to be the Page leaks. Honestly. I was in awe. I was so surprised when all of this shit, and it was Mike who broke the news to me. All of a sudden, he's like, "You're welcome," and he texts me a link, and I just see pictures of loads flying with the women's NXT championship underneath her chin.
Oh man!
And I'm like, "What the fuck?" And now you got
a freak.
Oh god, you got Brad Maddox and fucking what's his face?
Fucking
Please
getting angles, Maddox and his angles.
Yeah, my god, tag team in this pretty little slut. And all I can think of is if Mike were there, he'd be like, I just want to put her face in the pillow and tell her to shut the fuck up. But no, in terms of wrestling, I had to be the Hardys return because they had that same weekend.
Yeah, Ring of Honor, they had a ladder match the night before.
Against the Young Bucks. Nobody saw that one coming.
Yeah. And it was all speculative, like, oh, yeah, they could, but it was like nobody thought it was going to happen. That was definitely a big shock.
Yeah, really.
Definitely a big surprise. Too bad that he couldn't come in as the broken character, but hey, I guess got to wait a little bit on those things. Hardy's Mania was really good. Meningitis, good. Even, last month, they're just Y2J and Kenny Omega to where everybody, Y2J, Chris Jericho's WWE. He's taking a break. He's still WWE. Then all of a sudden, boom, he's in New Japan doing promos. It's like... And, he doesn't have to tell WWE. He could do what the hell he wants now at his age, especially all the shit that he's done. That was kind of a surprise. And it's a good surprise to where it's nice knowing that anything could still happen in a way to where if somebody just left WWE. And granted, after this match, maybe it's just a one and done. Who knows? After this match, Wrestle Kingdom, maybe we could see Chris Jericho come back and have a match at WrestleMania against somebody. I guess he's at that point of his career, though, where he really can do anything. And seeing this was definitely a big surprise, I think, for a lot of wrestling fans.
What surprised me about this the most was I heard an interview with Jericho talking about it. He called Vince McMahon to tell him this was about to happen. And he said Vince McMahon was excited. Vince McMahon could not wait for this to happen. And I think he's excited for the reason because Jericho going over to Japan, being a WWE guy as well. I mean, so Jericho, I'm talking to McMahon and McMahon being excited about it. And that's a surprise to me. I figured McMahon would shit all over it, but McMahon was surprised about it. I heard Triple H in an interview talking about it. And he was happy for it. He said he's going to try to tune in. I don't think he's going to get up at 2 a.m. to watch the event. He'll probably watch it later on in the morning. But he says he plans on watching. So the people at Titan Towers in Connecticut, they're all about it. Everybody in the WWE in the corporate offices are excited. And to me, that is a huge surprise because you got one of your top guys going over to Japan to another promotion. Now, granted, New Japan isn't really competition, but it's still it's a surprise for me.
For those little things, I'm always curious what entrance music he'll come out to. Like, just one of his songs, or is it like his WWE song? I always think of like little silly things like that, of like what they're going to use for him coming out, because like what they can or can't do. But hey,
I think he's using Judas because I think like during all those promos and stuff, like that song has played prior to him talking, so I think he's going to use that. I mean, it's a smash hit of the summer for his band anyway. I mean, on the rock charts, it's been pretty high up there. So I mean, good for Jericho. He's got his hand in a lot of pots there.
Just, hey, he's at that point in his career. That's it makes wrestling exciting, knowing that anything like that could happen sometime. So, other little surprises. I mean, we had Kurt Angle, like I said before, come in as the GM. It's kind of like expected at this point to where, after a year or so, then they move on to somebody else. But hey, whatever. How about Andrade Cien Almas winning the NXT Championship? I did not see that happening, especially I think Drew only had it for like a month or so, like a paper. I don't know. He didn't have it that long. Like that was a quick turnover for him, I think. But that was a little bit. I think
he only had one title defense, and I think it was against Roddy Strong, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was just
Strong. Yeah.
That was a little, I don't know, a little surprise, I guess, out of nowhere. Even like little things like, the Riot Squad debuting, or I don't know, some NXT girls moving on up. Now that they announced a Women's Royal Rumble coming up, there's other little surprises. But those are just some little, sprinkles on top of the sundae, if you will. But let us know once again, what are your surprises of the year?
Okay, next we have biggest fail of the year, which I don't have an opinion on because that's rude. You guys are mean.
As much as we love wrestling, sometimes not everything works out the way it should, or the way we want to, or the way they want to. Jumping right in there, I think one of the biggest things that stands out, or not the big, just one of the things that stand out would have to be Emelina. They fucking promoted her for months. Coming soon. Emelina, coming soon. And then I read somewhere that, like, when they finally had what they wanted for her, they tested it out and they hated it so much that they dumped it and then just had her come back as herself. And then literally as she comes back as herself, a few weeks later they release her. Wow.
That was more than a few weeks, Credo. Come on now.
She actually had her first pay-per-view match or something, I think. I remember saying, like, it was her first time. Or against Asuka. Then right after that, they let her go. So, man, it was like months. I want to say almost 6 months of saying coming soon for Emelina. And then after all that, it just they were like, nope, we ain't doing it. So they got rid of it. But I don't know. That's one of the biggest fails of the year. Guys, what comes to mind when you think biggest fail?
It's funny because I see it on this list, and now I remember it. Biggest fail. That LeVar Ball segment was atrocious. And his son dropping the N-bomb live on the USA Network. Oh, my God. I wish I could have been in Gorilla right next to Vince just to see that reaction. Like, Mike, what do you think the reaction was of Vince as... I don't know which one said it, but somebody dropped the N-bomb live on his broadcast.
What did he say? I can't even do it right now because I'm just laughing.
Oh, God. And and that's the thing. It would be so hypocritical of him to say it, being that he said it to John Cena live on Raw that one time.
God. Oh, man. Yeah, that was one of the classics. And the best part about it, that was Dean's expression, the look on his face when it dropped. If everybody listening doesn't know what I'm talking about, find the clip and find when that N-bomb drops and just watch Dean's expression.
All right, can we do a segue real quick? There's 3 times that I can think of that the N-bomb was dropped on wrestling television. It was the LeVar Ball incident. It was the John Cena Vince McMahon backstage thing, and of course the Booker T Harlem Heat promo. Yep. Which of those to you is the funniest?
I got it. For me, it's the Booker T one.
Yeah, I think Booker T is
it's so intense,
and he has that look of regret right after saying it too, which is even more funny.
He covers his face. Me and my buddy Mike always talk about that because it's so classic because he covers up his face like, oh shit, what did I do? And then like Sherry like brushes his arm and he just recovers all quick.
Live
and he's just
TV.
Standing there like with a stern, angry face, like, yeah, what's up? It's just so fucking funny because suckers gots to know.
The best thing about that, so the LeVar Ball segment happened, and the following night on SmackDown, Big E comes out there and cuts that Booker T promo. I believe it was on the Usos, and then Xavier and Kofi jump in there before he could say the N-word.
Oh Jesus!
It was so funny, and I don't know if you noticed, but now Big E is using the word "sucker" in all his promos.
Yes.
Man, guys, a big fail too. I want to bring this back. I would have to say is the Mae Young Classic.
Oh, you're such a hater.
Hey, for the fact that there was a lot of good women wrestlers in this, a lot of good women wrestling during this, but it to me it was like it was all built around fucking one of the 4 horsewomen of MMA just to be in the finals. And I'll tell you what, if she actually won it, I would be even more pissed off than I am now about it. But I don't know. It was like there was a lot of good matches and then a lot of good wrestlers. And a lot of those good wrestlers just didn't even make it as far as they should have. And it was just, I don't know what they were going for with the final round. And
well, you know what it is, Credo. It's all about who they got to sign on the dotted line for a contract after the fact.
Yeah, because they, I
would have loved to have seen Toni Storm in those finals. Yeah. There was a lot of girls in there that I was like, damn, she only went how far? I mean, what the hell is...
All Corey Zane has is that crazy elbow.
Yep.
That's
Macho
it.
Man elbow.
I'll tell you something right now. Credo's hating on the women's
Japanese
tournament. I mean, by tomorrow or by when this podcast drops, you're going to have like the women's march protesting in your front lawn. Giving women a chance. You're going to be right up there with Trump.
Right. Half his lawn is going to be filled with women, and the other half are going to be filled with the Japanese because of his hatred for the Japanese.
Hey, I love the Japanese. I love Shinsuke. I just don't like how they're using him. But, well, whatever. Okay. Anyway, so, okay, the Mae Young Classic. We talked about it. We had it. I'll tell you what, a lot of these women I bet you we'll see in the Rumble. But I don't know. It was like a good opportunity to make a really cool ending, and it just... I don't know. It fell flat in my palate, in my taste buds. I didn't care at all for either one of those women in the final round, and I would have been. You don't even want to know where I would be right now if fucking what's her name won it. I can't think of her name.
I was so pissed that Tessa Blanchard got doused in the first round. That girl is so gorgeous and she's so great in the ring, and that was arguably probably one of the best matches of the fucking tournament, if not the best.
Yeah. Without me trying to get any more hate mail towards me, what about Impact and Global Force Wrestling? Because that was a little fun 2 weeks or something that they were. Jeff Jarrett, man, I give him credit because the balls he had to just he nudged his way back into Impact Wrestling. And then, I don't know how he did it, but just to have them take over his brand that he created outside to where they used his Global Force Championships and then just, all the names of the stuff that he was doing. And it was so confusing because you have like 20 names for the one show. It's like TNA's Impact Wrestling, Global Force, whatever. It's like, fuck it, how many names do we need? And, after all that said and done, they kick Jeff Jarrett out. They get rid of Global Force Wrestling, and now it's back to Impact Wrestling. It's just like, what? Every year, man, past 3 years, every year, from them losing their deal with Spike, and then going to that American channel or whatever, and then losing that, and then going to another channel, and then, man, how many times must they fail before they just fucking give up on Impact Wrestling? But would you consider that another fail for the year?
Oh, my God. So many funny things. Who could forget when they put that shit on television where like Bobby Roode was on there, and they're like, it was obviously taped from like
it wasn't television, it was pay-per-view. They were making money off of it.
Oh God! And there's and the announcers are playing it off like it was live, like yeah, the former NXT champion, and you're just like, oh my God, it was so bad. And what was the other one where they had Gallows and fucking Carl Anderson? Where they were doing the story of the Bullet Club or some shit like that.
Yeah, that was the same pay-per-view they were showing.
That was the same one.
It was just so bad.
It's like, let's not promote our stars. Let's promote the stars from the other fucking.
And then now that you bring that up, the other thing that they talked about was I remember when Zeb Coulter went out there and cut a promo about all the stars that aren't even with the company. Like you have a locker room full of guys that are talented.
Yes.
And you're trying to promote this brand to a new audience of people. and you're not even promoting them. You're promoting Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle. They even talked about Sting. I mean, it was just the worst. If you want to go worst promo of the year, that's up there with it, because it did nothing to benefit TNA, Impact, Global Force, preschool wrestling, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It did nothing to benefit them. It just made them like, oh, well, you're talking about these guys. These guys aren't here anymore. I'm going to change the channel then.
Oh my God, how did I forget about this? Jason Jordan being Kurt Angle's son. Oh my God. That
was probably one of my favorite moments because of Mike. Because you listen to one of our episodes where Mike is doing the impression and pitching this to Kurt Angle as Vince McMahon, but he's gonna be your son. and like I listened to that episode like 3 or 4 times just because of Mike. He's like, but he's black. Yeah, I know. Great, right?
Yeah. I know, right? That's fantastic.
It all started with a meme of that, and it's like it made it into a story. And man, I'll tell you what, they even slap a tag team championship on him with Seth Rollins as fucking placeholder of the year, but it's like he still gets booed, man, everywhere he goes. It's like they almost kind of like forgot about the storyline. Then they make mention that he's his father again, and then it's like, just end it, just stop, do something different, please. It's not working. That's what. It's not working.
The promo before Survivor Series, where they were going to announce Triple H, and he's trying to, Dad, I can do it, please. This is my one and only shot. And I'm like, oh my God! I never wanted to turn the TV off so fast in my life.
It was anyway. Fucking jeez. Anyway, no more Jason Jordan talk.
Next up, we have Match of the Year. Obviously, the Match of the Year was Asuka and Nikki Cross in the Last Woman Standing match. That's definitely the number 1 match of the year. But also, Dunn versus Tyler Bate. Very, very good. Close contenders. I like both of those matches a lot.
When you say Match of the Year, I'm just trying to think of like what the hell happened this year, and I know we're going to miss a lot and not talk about enough of these, but right off the top of the bat, AJ Styles, phenomenal. He's had great matches with everybody. He's even made Jinder Mahal look good. But Brock Lesnar versus AJ was awesome. AJ versus Finn Balor, a match we didn't think we'd see until maybe a WrestleMania, but we had to throw it on the meningitis card just to fill the spots. But off the top of my head, I mean, when you say Match of the Year, I got to go to AJ Styles with either Finn Balor or Brock Lesnar. Just, I'm sure there's a lot more between him and whomever, but when you say Match of the Year, to me, it's an AJ Styles match, guys. Match of the Year, what's a Match of the Year to you?
Oh, God, I'll throw one out there. And it's not even from the main roster. It is, the Revival. We had DIY and the AOP in a triple threat match for the tag team titles. I think that was WrestleMania weekend, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Take over Orlando.
Yes, it was. God damn. That was incredible. I mean, and there was the part where, a member from DIY and the Revival, they were teaming up with each other to do their finishing moves to try to fucking stop AOP, and then just so they could battle each other. It's like the only way that they were going to be able to beat AOP was if they worked together, and they hate each other, and they somehow did it, and it was so fucking cool.
That was a great match. I mean, I got 2 matches that I really can't choose between. As much as I loved that Okada and Omega, it wasn't my favorite match of the year. Honestly, I have 2 matches that I loved so much this year. And one was AJ Styles versus John Cena at the Royal Rumble. I thought that was an incredible match. Everybody shits on Cena. I shit on Cena. Everybody does. But when it comes time to work, the guy works. Now, granted, he works good with whoever he's in there dancing with. So that match was up there. NXT TakeOver Chicago, UK title. Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate. That match was just, for people, Chicago recognized these guys. Chicago knew exactly who these people were. A lot of people who didn't know who these guys were, who didn't watch the UK tournament, but did tune into TakeOver Chicago, got to see how great these guys were. And they work that British strong style, and it's incredible, the stuff that they did in that ring. And I thought they stole the show. And as much as that pay-per-view was great, that they were match of the night.
Once again, let us know what your match of the year was, but just keep this ball rolling because we're almost into 2018.
Next up, we have Call-Up of the Year, which was obviously Bobby Roode. You're welcome. I mean, Daddy Roode.
A lot of guys from NXT get called up to the main roster. Some sink, some swim. To you, who's the call-up of the year?
Hands down, Samoa Joe. He was the best call-up of 2017 because to this day, he's still booked as a believable contender. You know, it wasn't just like this big call-up and all of a sudden he's lost in the shuffle. No, he's out there, and to this very day, like I can believe that he will be a Universal Champion sometime down the road, without a shadow of doubt. Samoa Joe is the call-up of the year.
I got to agree with Mike on that one. I mean, Samoa Joe, hands down. I mean, you could make the argument for Elias because he's actually getting over, and I never actually thought he would. But Joe is just booked as that badass heel, that believable ass kicker. Because WWE is notorious for booking heels as whiny little crybabies who run away. You know what I mean? And he's that first, fuck you, I'm going to kick your ass, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I'm going to spit in your face, and I'm going to slap your wife on the ass and tell her to make me a steak medium rare. The fucking guy is just great. But I see good things coming for Elias. I might just want to walk with Elias, my damn self. That motherfucker seems pretty cool to me.
He came up with something that was so good on Raw. He went out there and said, what does WWE stand for? And everyone's just like, World Wrestling Entertainment. He's like, no, walk with Elias. I was like, look at that. That dude is very creative with that shit.
No, it was great. You know, one of the call-ups of the year, too, the Revival. Probably one of the greatest tag teams this year, but, you know, unfortunately, they had a few of their setbacks with these guys getting injured this year. They're finally, you know, coming back after a crazy year they've had. I hope, you know, 2018 leads to a lot more with them. It's almost like they got a great call-up, but at the same time, it's like they had a lot of setbacks. But, you know, with the Revival is definitely one of them. I would say even Shinsuke Nakamura coming up was great, but is he being used well? That's a whole other story. You're saying Elias, he's one of those guys that they didn't really love down in NXT. The fans didn't really care for, but he made it to the main roster, and then when he made it to the main roster, you know, the fans embraced what he's doing a lot more than they did down there, and that's a rarity. So,
I might disagree with you on that. Just in a sense where they hated him, but I think they hated him for the right reasons. He got like heat, but he got the right heat, not because he sucks, but because he was doing his job properly. You know what I mean? There's a difference between them hating on somebody because he's just garbage and them hating on him because that's what you're supposed to do.
Sure. Well, it was one of those things I did not see that happening to where I didn't think he'd get almost like, not a push, but like a bigger spotlight on him than compared to a lot of these other guys that were called up. But hey, good for him. You know, a lot of different call-ups this year, though. A lot of different people coming up. Once again, what was your favorite call-up of the year?
Next, we have Worst Match of the Year. That's also kind of mean, so I don't have an opinion on that one.
A lot of stinkers out there. A lot of matches that we just wish did not happen. Off the bat, I'm going to have to say Undertaker versus Roman Reigns. If this was his damn retirement match, Roman fucking fucked this up. And I'm sorry, yeah, it takes two to tango. Roman just, I think, was either too nervous, too something, or whatever, but I think there was a lot of mistakes that were made on Roman's behalf that just made this match really bad. And then, like I said, if this was his last match ever, that I feel that sucks. That sucks for the Undertaker. But guys, did you have a worst match of the year?
House of Horrors. That was by far the worst match of the year. Fans didn't like it, and the fans in the arena, I hated it. I absolutely hated it.
It was like a B movie. It turned into a B movie of.
The best thing about that was I saw this meme out there where somebody like messaged like one of those news stations and said they had pictures of a heroin overdose, yeah. And then they sent the pictures of Orton and Bray Wyatt laying down in the house.
Oh man. That was pretty. It's just like, stop making it into a movie. Just film it as if it was live. And like, it's when you start cutting around 3 different camera angles. It's like, come on, stop. It does not look real. It does not look live in the moment. And it kind of like, it takes you out of that. Takes you out of the match to where it's like, all right, you guys are just making a movie now. Stop it.
What? What are you looking at me for? What's the category?
Worst match of the year, Cooter.
Oh, that one's easy. Charlotte Flair's tits. No, for real though, those things are lopsided, bro.
Definitely made the show more.
I would categorize that as biggest fail of the year. Because I'll tell you something right now.
I wish the fans could have seen Credo's expression when I said that. Oh my god, it was priceless.
I'll tell you something right now, man. I always used to think Charlotte might have had some really nice tits. I always would look at them and be like, she probably has some really nice tits. And then when those pictures came out, that was a fail. That was a disappointment. If you want to talk about disappointments of 2017, I'm talking about Charlotte's left titty. That thing.
Yeah. That droopy motherfucker.
Oh my god.
That looked like Jim Ross's eye. I'm just saying, bro.
Her titties had cerebral palsy.
And once again, all the hate mail can be sent to Mike and Angry Cooter at JWP.
Oh god! All right, wait. Let's do a segue here. No, wait. Worst match of the year. You know what? I got a serious one. I'm gonna go Bayley and Alexa Bliss in that Singapore Kane match.
Extreme
How
Rules?
terrible was that? What's that?
Horrible.
Oh my god! That was like the first time in a long time I could say that the women's match was a piss break. That was fucking horrid.
Yeah, it's tough, man, because Bayley was rocking it on NXT with her gimmick, and maybe was she called up this year? I'm trying to has it been 2 years or 1 year? I don't know how long she's been on the damn main roster. It seems like it's been, I don't know.
It's been a year.
Yeah.
I think it was like the SummerSlam weekend of Brooklyn 2, because her last match was against Asuka.
Mm.
And then she debuted, I think, the following Raw, I want to say.
Well,
all right. Nude pick leak of the year. Which was it?
Wait a minute. We're still on the worst match. Worst matches. We got 2 of them I just want to throw out there real quick. Is that Goldberg versus Kevin Owens? Because
that was atrocious.
Kevin Owens was doing great as Universal Champion, and along comes Bill Goldberg, and it's like 50-year-old versus 30-something-year-old, and it's like, oh, come on, stop. He does not need the title. He never needed it. Yes, they made a good series on it or whatever for their network video, or I forget the hell, whatever it was called.
The 24.
Yeah, and it's like, man, I hate it when you have like a dominant champion and then all of a sudden you have like the 50-year-old come in there and take the championship away, and it's like, all right. Yes, it's pro wrestling, but at the same time, it's like, come on, let's be more realistic on what's happening here. So that was definitely a stinker this year.
There was something good that did come out of that, though.
What was that?
Do you remember, if you read his lips from what he was saying to Bill Goldberg?
He was shooting on Goldberg.
Oh, he was shooting on him like you wouldn't believe. Somebody sent me one of those, what are those called? GIFs?
Mm-hmm. GIFs, yeah.
And it had subtitles of what he was saying. It was so fucking funny.
We're going to find
Call him a piece of shit.
Did he call him a piece of shit?
Yeah, it was one of the things he was calling him. I believe he called him a piece of shit at one point. He was shooting hard.
God bless Kevin Steen.
I love it.
Oh.
Well, even, okay, the whole gender experiment this year, granted, we were all shocked a little bit about it happening, and then at some point it was like, all right, well, we'll see what happens with this. But then it's like you take a talent like Shinsuke Nakamura, and he have to have him job to Jinder Mahal and lose clean, like no interference, like he that was just one of the stinkers this year, because it was like, man, at that point I thought they were going to give Jinder the championship. What a great way for him to win it. Get it off of Jinder Mahal. Nope. Keep it on Jinder. Just one of those matches where I just shook my head and was like, fuck this. I'm like, stop
That was at SummerSlam, Credo, one of your favorite pay-per-views of the year.
Honorable mentions. But
Next one is Bust Call-Up of the Year. I don't even think... Is this a real podcast anymore? I think after my interview, it just went downhill from there.
we're talking about some call-ups of the year, but come on. there were some call-ups that were just busted. A lot of busted call-ups, guys.
The bust of the year? Are we going to talk about these nude leaks yet? Which was the best nude leak of the year? What was your favorite, Mike?
Oh, my favorite? Oh, what's her name? Shit.
I knew you were going to go here.
Victoria. Oh my God, the nicest tits in the world.
I mean, those were probably the most graphic because, I mean, well, maybe not as graphic as Paige, but there was everything. She had doggy style pics of her taking it. Fantastic.
All right. So come on, give me a busted call up of the year. I mean, because there were some guys that were doing good in NXT, and they just didn't make it. I mean, right off the bat, a perfect 10. Ty Dillinger was doing kind of good down there. I was kind of surprised that he got called up, but once again, they bring him up and it gets lost in the shuffle. That kind of just, did his little plan fizzle out where they're just not using him the way they should?
No, I don't think they have anything for him.
Why call him up then? It's like, why? Just stop. Why waste the call up for what? No reason, right?
I'm surprised they didn't put the strap on him before they brought him up because I think he was in line to... Because he was so over with the fans of NXT, I think the experience that he would have got from being champion down there might have done him a little bit more, give him a little bit more credibility on the main roster.
I remember talking about him too. We were saying, because remember at one point I was like, there's no NXT made guys that are champion right now. It was all like guys that were coming in from the indies and just taking that championship, Drew McIntyre, so on and so forth. But there was no like guy that started in NXT and then rose up to the top to become that champion. And I was like, perfect time for Ty Dillinger to become that that grown in the system kind of champion. And he gets moved up and they never even used him.
They told a good story when he was facing Bobby Roode, and this was when Bobby Roode wasn't even champion. I remember when I went to NXT in Albany, New York last year.
Yes.
And when his music hit, the entire place was going nuts. When I went to Full Sail University last year, and when Ty Dillinger came out, the place went nuts. And the best part about it is they do 4 episodes of NXT. They filmed 4 of them. Every time Ty Dillinger came out, it was like the first time he came out in one night. It was incredible. And now it's just he still gets that same reaction from the fans, but creative just isn't doing him any justice at all.
It's kind of like a hard adjustment, I think, sometimes to where it's like, oh, wow, this guy's the main event. He's the NXT champion. Let's bring him up. And we don't know what to do with him. He was doing awesome in NXT. And then I feel like, once again, he just gets lost in the shuffle.
I was just going to say my thing with Bobby Roode is, like you said, I think he needs to be that heel again. Mm-hmm. He needs to be that guy that is better than you at everything he does. The guy who wears the flashy robe is the guy who should be hated by everybody, because the reason why he wears that flashy robe is because he's better than you. Okay, Ric Flair wore that flashy robe because he was better than everybody, as his character was better than everybody. Bobby Roode down at NXT wore that flashy robe because he was better than everybody. He needs to be that character again. I mean, his entrance is over. His entrance is always going to be over. But other than that, him as a babyface just isn't working for me. I want the heel Bobby Roode. I want that guy who just is going to go out there and just literally be ruthless. The guy with the flashy robe is the guy that needs to be hated.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. It's just, I knew you were going to say that because that's what was so crazy. Is he was booked as this super heel in NXT only to come up to be a babyface on the main roster. And that's the one thing that, I'll disagree with you, Credo, in terms of Bobby. I don't feel like a guy who was a superstar and at the top of the food chain in NXT really needs to be right at the top of the card on the main roster, which is kind of like what you're kind of maybe insinuating, and I could be wrong, but it's like I don't want to see them thrown right into the title picture right away. I kind of let them build in the mid-card and feel their way up the same way they had to in NXT. You're basically starting all over again anyway, and you have this abundance of fresh talent to work with. Let's not waste, a title opportunity just because it's a fresh face. Mm-hmm. When you've had other people there who have been built up and established for the title picture. The bust of the year for me is Nakamura. I don't care how over he is with the fans. might be the one time I have to actually agree with Kenny Omega, and I can't believe he actually came out and said this publicly. But he hasn't done shit on the main roster. Let's be honest. He had that great entrance after, was it WrestleMania, when he interrupted The Miz, when him and Maurice were dressed as Cena and Nikki Bella, and the guys coming out playing the violin, and only to be put in a stinker of a program with Dolph Ziggler, which we were all thinking was going to be pretty good. Like, Nakamura is a great worker, and Dolph Ziggler is by far one of the best. And they just put on some of the most piss-poor matches that I've ever seen. And he hasn't done shit since.
What sucks about it, though, is granted, Nakamura, I agree with you 100% with that. And at the same time, though, you can't blame Nakamura. You have to blame creative, because the King of Strong Style is this person that got him signed by the WWE. That strong style of his wrestling was what got him there. And then you bring him to the main roster, and all of a sudden he's the artist, and he has to tone down his in-ring style. And they're sending him out there, and they're giving him these lengthy promos to cut. And he's a guy who doesn't really speak the greatest English. You can't throw him out there. Granted, promo work is one of the top things you need in the WWE. But a guy like Nakamura, you don't need to give him promos. Just have him go out there and be the King of Strong Style. The fact that they changed his name to The Artist, that really is the worst fucking nickname ever. The Artist. Is Nakamura gonna draw me a picture? He's gonna paint me something? The artist. What is he an artist of? Is he gonna sing me a song? And so I agree with you, Cooter, on that. I love Nakamura. I was the one that told you about when he got signed by NXT and you weren't familiar with him. I told you, I was like, this guy is going to be your favorite wrestler.
I agree with you.
And
at the same time, then, you're sitting there and you want to blame creative. If you want to blame creative, we can blame creative for all of these guys. For Bobby Roode, for Ty Dillinger. These are all great talents.
Finn Balor.
They dropped the ball with him. They're
fuck that up. Don't get me started.
You know what? Because I wasn't sure if he had been called up this year or last year. Yeah. That was going to be my bust call up of the year. Because let's be honest about fucking Finn Balor. Very, very talented. It took a while for him to win me over because I see him as somewhat with a limited moveset, even though the stuff that he does do is incredible. But come on, man. You bring him to the main roster, wins the Universal title within his first month of being on the main roster, and poor guy gets hurt, and now you have him in lengthy fucking feuds with the likes of Bray Wyatt, where we have to put every stupid fucking gimmick known to man.
I think it's because of Vince. Vince doesn't like Finn, from what I've read, and he said that Vince isn't over. Or I'm sorry, he said that Finn isn't over, which I'm just kind of confused. He's not over, and the thing, Finn is a smart dude. He took this stuff with Vince saying that he wasn't over, and he ran with it. Yep. All the stuff he put out there on Twitter, he put out about him not being over, or him there's a picture of Roman saying he was going to have an open challenge, and then Finn was like, I'm going to have to step over you. Just taking that word over to the next level. I mean, Finn's new t-shirt says Finn Forever, but the word over and forever is capitalized in red. The guy is smart. And not only that, but he's incredible, and he is over. It just, for some reason, Vince McMahon loves big, sweaty men. And if you're not a big, sweaty man, you're not going to get the proper push, as I want to say. I mean, AJ Styles is probably one of the guys that you just can't deny.
And finally, we have Superstar of the Year, which was obviously Braun Strowman. There's no close contender. It was Braun Strowman. Because even if he was botching, he was still entertaining us, so whatever. Keep up the good work. Another wrestling podcast. Hopefully I will be on it this year. You guys can, stop forgetting me when you have things to do. That's very rude of you guys. And hope to hear from you guys soon.
We talked about Kenny Omega, Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, Chris Jericho, AJ Styles, Finn Balor, everybody, guys. If you had to pick one guy of the year who is the superstar of the year, who would it be? Me, personally, I'm going to have to say Braun Strowman was that superstar of the year. They used him very good. He definitely got a lot of push, a big push, just doing the stuff that he's doing. And I think, he's one of those big guys that can actually do a lot of things, and he still has a lot of room to grow. So I'm hoping we'll see him do a lot more. But I would say 2017 belongs to Braun Strowman in the WWE. What about you guys?
I was going to piggyback you, man. I have to. There have been so many holy shit moments from Braun fucking Strowman, and we didn't see it coming. We thought he was just going to be, some big doofus who wasn't going to be able to do shit, and he's gotten so much better in the ring, so much better on the mic, and time after time he just does these things that make you jump out of your seat, like Mike said earlier, with the throwing of the chair, or, oh God, how many times has he beaten the shit out of Roman Reigns? Oh my God. I remember him running down the ramp and just running through Enzo Amore as one of the funniest things that I've seen all year. So, Braun Strowman, my God, is my superstar of the year.
Braun Strowman got that phrase over. I'm not finished with you yet. That was huge. Like when he ran at Roman, and when he flipped over Roman in the stretcher, that was another like what the fuck moment. And Strowman was great. I'm gonna throw somebody out there though. There's a lot of great guys. AJ was always phenomenal, no pun intended. Like you guys said, Braun Strowman. But there's one guy that really stood out to me. And Pete Dunne is the guy. The guy goes out there and puts out some incredible stuff. He came from the UK. Not many people knew who he was. And he really impressed me in the UK tournament. He reminded me of a young William Regal. Just this ruthless guy. They did a storyline in between that tournament with him. And then him winning the NXT, well, I call it the NXT UK title because it's defended on NXT programming, but the UK title, and he's making that UK title feel special for me. That is just how he is. The guy's incredible. I think 2018 for Pete Dunne is going to be a big year. The Bruiserweight is going to make it to the top. I fully believe.
Yeah, that was a category I thought we would have had. Like, who do we see as the next up-and-comer? And he would have been up there on my list. I want to throw another honorable mention out there because Cody Rhodes, or just Cody, the American Nightmare, has totally reinvented himself and has just blown my mind on the internet, on YouTube, all the catchphrases that we've gotten from him. Fuck the revival. That's another catchphrase of the year we forgot about.
Yep.
Fuck the revival. How can we forget that one?
Well, what a year, guys. 2017's been pretty crazy. How about one quick look into the future of 2018? One thing you want to see, whether it's a debut, a title win, a match, I don't know. Is there one thing that's like, I want this to happen in 2018? It's hard to put you on the spot, but I mean, is there, just looking at, I'll tell you one thing really quick. I do not want to see any more lengthy title reigns by somebody who's a part-timer. I love Brock Lesnar, but come on, man. That Raw needs a main championship on its show every week, not once every 6 months or something like that, to where,
you know what?
That's what I want to see.
I hope they take that belt off of Brock Lesnar and put it on a Japanese motherfucker just to spite you.
I love the Japanese. Please don't get me wrong.
Oh, God.
Mine is too much to ask for. It's going to be too much for WWE to handle. It will never happen, but I'm going to throw it out there with hopes. And I'm going to hope that we get a Royal Rumble winner that we can believe in, that we can get behind, that we look forward to following the journey from the Rumble to Mania. That's what I'm hoping for 2018. Is it going to happen? No. No. Come on, that's too much.
We're going to get Roman Reigns.
Or the rumors going out there is John Cena's going to win the Rumble. Come on.
You know what? Wait, hold up. Here's because I saw that point that you made on Facebook about you'd rather see it go to somebody who you think could be built up. What if John Cena wins the Royal Rumble, but Brock Lesnar loses the belt at the Rumble to, say, a Braun Strowman, and Braun Strowman has to defend it against John Cena, and he beats John Cena? Wouldn't that be the same thing?
You know what? It would, but I'd rather see a champion crowned.
Yeah, I want to see it retained. It's like something special like that. I would like to see, like the Rumble winner go in and winning it, kind of a thing. And I can't remember. Yeah. Ugh. I don't want to get started on 2018. Jeez, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to that, though. But basically...
Here's something interesting that I would like to see. Because I remember during that press conference with Jericho and Omega, where Jericho basically promised that this would be his last match in Japan. What's right around the corner right after that match? Be the Royal Rumble. What if Jericho was a special entrant, just a surprise, only to be followed by a Kenny Omega? I would love to see that.
That'd be cool.
Get a little cross promotion going. I would love to see them sort of here and there do a little cross promotion with certain companies, with like a Ring of Honor. Borrow some of their guys like the old days. Let's do a fucking talent exchange. Let's see if, hey, maybe these guys want to work over here for a little bit, so on and so forth. I'd like to see something like that.
I just got curious, and I wanted to see Fozzie's tour schedule. And he's booked WrestleMania. He's going to be in New Hampshire on WrestleMania night. So as much as a lot of people would love to see Kenny versus Chris at Mania, the second match, it's not going to happen.
Oh, well, guys, wow. It's 2017, man. I loved hearing about it. The ups, the downs, the lefts, the rights. That's it for us for this year. Till next year.
So I did the entire show this week plastered. Have no fucking idea how I did it.
Yeah, I could tell. But surprisingly, you were pretty good, except you took all the good fucking jokes.
Don't get mad at me because I beat you to the Charlotte material this week, Ma.
Why'd you get drunk anyway? Were you nervous that Felicia was going to be on the show?
Don't be an asshole.
Fuck you guys. Maybe Felicia and I should start our own fucking podcast.
Wouldn't that be an odd pairing?
Enough with the fucking Charlotte jokes.
Happy New Year, bitches.